Hello. I want to mention the fact before I get started that this presentation has not been approved by the group conscience of Overeaters Anonymous. And as I talk, I am speaking for myself, and I am not a spokesman for Overeaters Anonymous. Hey, my name is Rick. I'm a compulsive overeater. This is my story. When I was a child, I was not overweight. There was a time when I was 10 or 12 years old for a couple years when I was 20 pounds overweight. My parents were not overweight. My dad used to give me the advice, if you get overweight, the simplest exercise in the world, you just push yourself away from the table. Well, that worked for him. My mother would give me the advice of be careful about what you eat. That worked for her. That did not work for me. When I was young, I never thought I would be overweight. But then I got into my 20s and I carried around about an extra 30 pounds. Should have weighed 185, weighed about 215. I was very nonchalant. I didn't really care that I was overweight. But then over time, I accepted 30, and then 35 wasn't too bad, and then 45 wasn't so bad. And then fast forward a few years, and I remember being 285 pounds. I'm 6'2", if that makes any difference. And when I was 285 pounds, this was back in the 1980s, I, I, I couldn't go a day without overeating, not one day. And if you were to ask me, why do you overeat? I would tell you I don't know. And I really don't think I knew. And then I do now know that I was seeking a sense of ease and comfort from the food. It was my eating was horrible. I would have a snack of junk food, 1,400 calories. I would eat a snack of what came in a wrapper that said it was nutritious, and that'd be 1,600 calories. Unplanned. It was unplanned food. And I was always seeking some satisfaction from the food, but in reality I was chasing a rainbow which does not exist. I couldn't stop from starting, and once I started, I could not stop eating. Then fast forward a little while longer, and I got an error code on my bathroom scale at home. It stopped at 308 and a half. I was in my early 50s, and I weighed right around 310 pounds. I went to a health institute. They taught me the evils of overeating, to eat a balanced diet, and to get a lot of exercise. And in 67 weeks, from October the 21st, 2007, over 67 weeks, I lost 100 pounds, down to 197 pounds, 14% body fat. And then I went along for years, and I would go back up to 240, down to 200, up to 210, up to 220. And then an interesting thing happened. I got a torn meniscus in my right knee. And I got arthritis in both my knees. And then the orthopedic surgeon told me that if I would lose my excess weight, my knees wouldn't hurt. And for 1.5 to 2 years, I could not stop eating, even though my knees hurt. And I knew if I lost that weight, my knees would no longer hurt. I went to Overeaters Anonymous. I was there for about 6 months. And then, bam, one day, I found my abstinence. And it was great. It was great. And it took me that long to realize that I was a compulsive overeater. and I must not eat binge foods. I must and control my portion. And then I did have an experience. My vital spiritual experience uh, was to I was struck all of a sudden, and then I learned. I worked the steps. I learned somewhere in there during this time of recovery to pray, and I continue to work the steps. I have a sponsor, and my whole approach to my eating is just so different than it used to be. Um, I get more exercise now. I've lost my weight. I've been abstinent for a little over 400 days, 419 days, and I started at 240 pounds, and then I'm down now to 179 and a half pounds. That puts me right around 10% body fat. When I started in the OA, I was 32% body fat, which is I was overweight. And then um, I'm excited for my future. I enjoy being abstinent. I just have a whole. I became honest with myself. I used to not be honest with myself. I used to tell myself, "Oh, if I exercise hard enough, I can eat anything I want." Well, that doesn't work for me. Um, I do ask advice from other people. That's huge. I call my sponsor. That's huge. I pray. I work the steps. And my whole approach to eating is different. I'm viewing this food as something to fuel my body. When I go to a buffet now, which I don't very often, but when I do, I want to nourish my body. I want a portion that's a balanced meal that's adequate for my nutritional needs. Back before, when I went to a buffet, I ate as much food as I could fit in my stomach. No wonder I was overweight. Um, I still have a long way to go, and I hope to continue in this program. And then there are things I do well in the program. When I work the steps, I give myself credit for the fact that I worked on one, and when I got one, I went to two. When I got two, I worked the third step, and I worked them in order. And I cannot speak highly enough of my sponsor. They saw potential in me that I didn't see, and they hadn't given up on me yet. And my sponsor makes me want to be a better person. My higher power helps me in eliminating character defects that I have. And but I'm like I say, I'm excited. I haven't physically felt this good in 20 years, and when I eat, I don't feel guilty. I feel like I'm doing the right thing, and I am doing the right thing. I eat a balanced diet and the proper portions. I'm in the group. I weigh and measure my food. That's not the only way. That's not the only way. But that's what I do because, quite simply, if I'm going to eat some cereal, if I don't weigh and measure, I just fill the bowl. I just fill the bowl. I can't get around that. And but anyway, I'm excited about my future. And let me see if I have any other notes written down. Oh, the things that I consider essential to my recovery today is I pray for about 20 minutes a day, most days. I work all the steps the best I can, put forth a reasonable effort. I go to meetings, I meditate, I have a sponsor, I call my sponsor, I'm honest with my sponsor, and honest with myself, both in the positive and the negative. I don't just beat myself up, but I'm also not just saying everything's great. I do have a food plan. I write my calorie targets down for each meal and snack in the day. And then I do keep a journal. I exercise, not perfectly, not perfectly at all, but I do get some exercise. I get adequate sleep. I consider, for me, that's important. I get adequate water. I say the step prayer. I say the step one prayer every day, and I do. I work as a sponsor, and I abstain from my binge foods. I choose not to eat those foods, and I will say I abstain from those binge foods today. Today, that's what I'm concerned with. Is what I do today. Well, listen. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you have gleaned some information from what I had to say. Thank you. Bye bye.